let's finish this little breakfast dinner scene off here. So, cup, stack of plates. I'm going to hold shift and click both of them. And then I'm going to move them out of the way again so I can focus on my third and final object. So you can go back to your main selector here. All right, let's add another plane. And we're going to make a fork here. So the first thing I want to do is let's go into edit mode. And let's add some loop cuts. So Control R. And you should see this line. Scroll your mouse wheel up so that we can get 2 loop cuts. Press left and then press right. And now you've got 3 sections of this plane. You can hit the X to go into side view. And there we are. Actually, maybe I'll just do it this way. I'm going to move this center cut. So I'm going to press G to move it. And then I'm going to lock it to my Z axis so I can only move it up and down. So I just want to give it a little bit of curvature, just like that, so that the bottom middle plane is a little bit further down than the other ones. Now I need to make my forks. So I need to cut this plane up again with a loop cut. Except this time I'm going to go across. So I'm going horizontal. And I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loop cuts. 1, 2, yeah, 6 loop cuts. Press left, press right. So you should have, for our forks, 1 prong, 2 prong, 3 prong, 4 prong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little chunks in total. All right, with edge select, I'm going to extend I'm going to extend this edge, hold shift, extend this edge by clicking on it, holding shift, click on this one, holding shift, click on this one. And then I'm going to go into my side view, like so. And I'm going to extrude. So I'm going to press E on my keyboard. And I'm going to extrude those forks out, those prongs, like so. And I'm going to redo that because I want to extrude it a little bit farther. Let's try that. There we go. That looks more forky. All right, you should still have these 4 edges selected. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to scale them along the y-axis. Whoops. Maybe I'll just reselect them. Scale. And oops, there we go. Scale them on the x-axis, not the y-axis, my bad. However, they kind of all scaled and they kind of point in the same spots. I don't want that to happen. I want them to scale on their own origins. So up here, where you see global, actually, let's go here and let's go individual origins. And now when I press S to scale and I press my x-axis, they stick to themselves. They kind of scale on their own origins as opposed to all meeting in the same place. So I'm just going to scale those down so that we get a more forky edge there. Similarly, I'm going to click this edge, hold shift, click this one, hold shift, click this one, hold shift, click this one. And I'm going to scale those on the X, except I'm not going to make them smaller. I'm actually going to make them a bit bigger. Let's go like that. Something like that. There we go. Slowly looking more like a fork. All right, the handle of this fork. Well, I'm going to click and select these right edges, all 7 of them. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scale these ones along the X. And I'm just going to scale them just a little bit. And then I'm going to go to my side view, and I'm going to extrude them out just a bit. Like that. And then I'm going to press S, and I'm going to scale these on the X even more. Maybe like that. Actually, I'm going to not go that skinny. Let's do that. All right, now I need to make the general shape of the handle of this fork. So you should still have these 4 edges selected, or these 7, I should say. And then in side view, you can hold Control and you can press right click, and this will allow you each click to kind of extend that shape out, and it's just following my mouse. And this is the general shape I want. I kind of want like a sine curve. And I'm going to redo that because my handle is a little bit too short there. It doesn't really look right. So once again, with these edges selected, I'm going to go to my side view. Oops. And I'm going to maybe zoom out a little bit here so I can get a better idea. Holding Control, right click. I don't like that already. I'm going to try that again. Holding Control, right clicking. There we go. Maybe it's a bit too long, but it certainly beats my first try. And we're almost done here. I'm going to add just a little bit more geometry to this fork. So at the end, I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to pick this kind of second last edge. So holding Alt and clicking on one of these edges will select all 7 of them. And I'm going to scale this on the X-axis. I'm just going to bring it out a little bit, like that. And then I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to click this edge so that it selects all of them. And I'm going to scale, and I'm going to make that one just a bit bigger. Maybe like that. And let's do one more. Hold Alt, click on this edge, S to scale, S, a little bit like that. And I've kind of got a little bit of a handle on my fork now. And I think I'm pretty happy with the general geometry of this fork. It's looking pretty good. So let's add some modifiers. So I'm going to go out of edit mode and back to my object mode. And you probably already know which modifiers we're going to add. I'm going to add the solidify one to give it some thickness. And I don't really know how much thickness to give it, so I'll just keep increasing my thickness value until it looks pretty good. Looks semi-decent. And then I'm going to add the subdivision surface. And for my subdivision surface, all the way down here, I always like to increase my levels both to 3. And I'd say that looks pretty good. If I really want to be picky, I guess I could click on this and I could go object and I could go shade smooth. but this object is small enough where that's probably not really going to matter. And you can see in comparison to my cup and my plates, that's quite the big fork. So in object mode, I can just scale the fork down. And I can see how it stacks up now. That's maybe a more appropriate size compared to the rest of my objects. All right, let's do one last thing and be done with this. Just for good habits, I'm going to bring all three of these objects close to my original origin. And now I kind of want to get a picture going here. So I'm going to select this fork and I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to move it. And I'm going to bring my cup over here. I'm going to move it up here. There you go. That's pretty good. You can rotate your cup if you want, just to make it look a little bit more natural. And there we have it. So I'm going to set my camera up properly now. So I can click on my camera here, or I can find it, press N, go to View, Camera to Cursor. And then if you hit 0 on your numpad, this is what your camera is looking at. I don't want to just look at my corner of my plates here, so I'm going to move with my mouse. Get a nice picture. Like that. Uncheck this when you are done moving your camera, so now you are no longer moving it. And let's add a plane. Scale it really big. And you can see my objects are kind of buried in my plane. So I'm going to make sure that I have them on top. Get out of here. So you can go to the side view. Actually, that probably doesn't really help. Just make sure your objects are if we use the red line as a reference, I'm going to make all these objects just touch the red line. This cup is a little too deep. There we go. And then my plane I will also make, which should be on the red line by default. So there we go. And let's add some color. So I've got my plane selected. I'm going to add a new color. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to make this color just white. So I think it's white by default. So if I turn on my viewport shading, there we go. And these plates, I'm going to show you something cool. We're kind of going to cheat here. We're going to make this a little bit easier. So this little drop down arrow, make sure your scene world is unchecked. And this will kind of use a default lighting, which makes everything nice and bright, and we don't have to worry about changing our lights to make things look good. So I'm still on this third view where I can see colors, and I've got scene world checked off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this stack of plates. I'm going to add a new material. And I'm going to call this one silver. And I'm going to try to make silver. I'm going to try to make some shiny plates here. So the base color, I'm just going to turn the brightness down so it's a gray instead of a white. And then play with some other properties because there's so many here that we have never touched. So there's a metallic one. If I bring that one up, it's going to make my plates look metally. And if I turn the roughness down, it makes them look pretty dang shiny. So let's not be too ridiculous here. Let's just turn it down. Let's go like that. And then I can click on my cup. I can select this silver. Whew. I can click on my fork and I can select the silver color. Actually, the cup, I don't like the cup being silver. I'm just going to make the cup like a black. Yeah, black. There we go. I like that. There we go. So there you have it. There's a cup, stack of plates, and a fork.